Hi everyone, today I want to talk to you about an important preschool skill, which is being able to recognize your name when you see it. So we often do this at school when we look at our cubbies or finding our chair. And one thing that we do to help children is we also attach a picture to their name. However, there will be a time in their life when there might not be a picture of themselves next to their names, so we do want to start working on the skill of being able to identify our own name. So what I want to do is kind of walk you through one way that you can do this. So you can do this for their first name, their first and last name, or just their last name, whatever it is that you want to focus on. So all you'll need for this is a marker or a pen and a piece of paper. So if your child has never done this before, you're going to want to start with just writing their name on the paper. And you want to write it as they would see it if someone had written their name on an art project, on a worksheet they're completing, anything like that. So here's my name, it's just on a random spot on this piece of paper. And what you'll do is you'll say to your child, touch your name, and then help them by prompting them to touch their name. So you're gonna wanna keep doing this, and this is something you could do maybe once a day. You don't wanna do it too much because it'll frustrate your child, especially if they're not independent with it at first. So what you'll wanna do is start out by just presenting the paper and saying, touch your name. And if your child doesn't respond, you'll want to physically prompt them to touch their name. So the way that we want to fade our physical prompts from us doing this with your child is maybe you gesturing, touch name, so that you're modeling the behavior that you want, so then your child will touch their name. Once they're able to touch their name independently and on their own, when you say touch name, what you'll want to do is you'll want to add another name onto the sheet. So I'm going to add another name on the sheet. So now there's two names, one that's your child's name and one that isn't your child's name. So with the two names on here, you're going to say to them, touch your name. And again, you might have to prompt them to find their own name, or they might remember now what it looks like and start touching their own name. So if your child touches the wrong name, you'll just say, no, this is your name, and give them that correction. Again, you'll only want to do this maybe once a day. You don't want to frustrate them doing it over and over and over again. It can become very frustrating for a child. Once they're able to do two names, you'll want to increase it by adding more names. So then we'll do three names. Once they're able to find their name in the three names, then we can increase it to 4 and 5 names, okay? Another thing that you can do is have them start being able to recognize their last name, because their last name is also an important thing for them to be able to recognize. So you can add it in and say, touch your last name. There's my last name, okay? And you can even vary it up and have them do touch your last name, touch your first name. And you can start teaching your child as they become more independent with their own name, other people's names who are important, like parents' names or guardians' names, anyone's names that could be important for your child to be able to communicate to another person would be a good name for them to start learning to recognize. We'd love to hear how this goes for you, and if you have any questions or if you have a hard time facilitating this with your child, please reach out to your teacher and we can offer you any advice that we have. Thanks. Hi everyone. I know we're all getting used to being able to play outside and get out our energy and really get our sensory systems going by running and playing. However, there will be days like today where it's going to be rainy outside, and we're all looking for those activities for the kids to do to be able to still get those sensory systems going. So for today's sensory activity, we are going to make a butterfly life cycle sensory bin or bowl. So what you'll need for this is a bin, or you can just use a kitchen bowl, some spaghetti, some food coloring, a little bit of water, and the pastas that we talked about earlier in the week that represent the life cycle of the butterfly. So I have the little ditalini for the egg, rotini for the caterpillar, mini shells for the chrysalis, and the bow tie pastas for the butterfly. So what you're going to do is take your spaghetti and cook it per the directions, okay? And you'll want a good amount because that's going to be the base of our sensory bowl. Once you cook it, you're going to rinse it off in a colander to cool it down because you don't want the kids to be touching this if it's still too hot. So what I've done is I've put it in a plastic bag, and now we're going to be dyeing it green. So in our plastic bag, I'm going to add just a tiny bit of water. This is probably less than a teaspoon of water in there, and our green dye. So I did about 20 drops. I'm going to seal up our bag. And this is when the fun actually starts. You can have your child mush it around to spread out that green food dye all over our spaghetti. They can throw it in the air and catch it. They can shake it. They can roll it. Do whatever it takes to get the green dye spread out. If you feel like you need to add more, go ahead and add more. If you're happy with the color green, just keep spreading it out, okay? Now that our color is spread throughout our spaghetti, what we're going to do is take it back in the kitchen and put it in the colander and rinse it one more time with some water to get any excess dye off of it, okay? So here is our spaghetti now that I've rinsed it off and I've placed it in a bowl. And what we're going to do is add some more elements to our sensory bin. Now if you want, your child can just play with this as it is. It's very cool because it's slimy, kind of chilly, but it's really good for our sensory systems to get them integrated. Just get more experience with textures. So what we can also do is take our life cycle pastas and add them in. So we have our ditalini for our eggs. We have our rotini for our caterpillars. Okay. We have our shells for our chrysalis. Add in some of those. And of course we have our bow tie for our butterflies. And this is a great way for you to be able to use up any pasta if you made sensory bottles with the pasta this week. Once you're done with the bottles, this is a great way to use them up. You can reuse the items in the sensory bottles to use in your sensory bins. So I have my pieces in here and I'm going to mix them together. Okay, and what you can also add is a piece of paper to sort them on. So as your child goes exploring and they find one, here's a butterfly. Keep going exploring. There's our chrysalis. Another chrysalis. So you're able to add a sorting element to it, which is great for our math skills. Here is a caterpillar egg. See if we can find a little baby caterpillar. Oh, there's one. So you're able to help your child sequence. You're able to help your child sort them out. You can even look at the colors. Since these ones are all blue, you got blue here, you'll have green there, you have red here. Anything you can think of, being able to sort an attribute is awesome. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and you can always use this as a variation if your child really enjoys the spaghetti. You can always utilize this by making rainbow spaghetti, especially since we're going to be reviewing colors this summer. And while we're not always a fan of kids playing with food, because we don't want to encourage them to play with their spaghetti when you offer it to them as a meal, I think that dyeing it a different color is a great way to offset that, so it doesn't look like the spaghetti that they normally eat. That way they're able to differentiate, this is spaghetti that I can play with and it's okay, and the plain colored spaghetti is spaghetti that I eat. Okay? So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact your teacher or send us an email. We love hearing from you guys, and we hope you have a great weekend.